Bryan ISD's new cell phone ban 400 million bond proposal explained. Imagine a school day where students are completely focused on learning without the constant distraction of their cell phones. Sounds like a utopian dream, right? But here's where it gets real. Bryan ISD is making this a reality with their newly approved cell phone policy. With less than 2 weeks to go before the first day of school, the Bryan ISD Board of Trustees has given the green light to a new policy that will see students stashing their phones away during school hours. But don't worry, it's not about taking away their beloved devices. It's about creating a more focused learning environment. The policy, which is in line with the new statewide law banning student use of personal communication devices during the school day, will require students to store their phones in their backpacks or designated areas during school hours. And this is the part most people miss. It's not. Texas cell phone ban in schools. How San Antonio districts on adapting for 2025. Imagine a school day where every student's cell phone is tucked away. No distracting buzzes, rings, or quick glances under the desk. That's about to become reality across Texas, and not everyone is on board. But here's where things heat up. The new sweeping cell phone ban impacts every public and charter school in the state, regardless of local preferences. Starting September 1st, 2025, House Bill 1481 demands that all Texas schools prohibit students from using personal electronic devices, including not just smartphones, but also tablets and smartwatches throughout the entire school day. This law is notable because until now, the choice largely rested with individual districts. Now, local flexibility is out, and a uniform statewide standard is in. Districts are left with a bit of wiggle room in one key detail. They can decide whether to ban these devices entirely from school grounds, or require students to keep them switched off and stored in a specified manner while classes are in session. In San Antonio, we reached out to local school districts to learn how they plan to adjust to these new requirements. Some districts are still ironing out their responses, and if yours isn't listed here, they may still be working on a plan. Here's a roundup of current responses from San Antonio area districts. Alamo Heights ISD. Taking proactive steps, Alamo Heights ISD will extend its strict phone and device policy, which already covers elementary and junior school students, to the high school level as well. Effective this fall, new rules will be enforced across all grade levels, key K-12. Students may bring phones or devices to school, but must keep them turned off and completely out of view for the entire day, including during transitions and lunchtime. Smartwatches are subject to the same restrictions and must also be switched off and hidden. Earbuds and headphones are off limits for personal use. Personal laptops and tablets are now banned for students. The district will provide access to necessary devices as needed. This approach is all about maintaining focus in class, a move that some praise for improving learning, even as others argue it removes valuable tech tools. Is this too strict or just right? East Central ISD. Leaders in East Central ISD began preparing for the state's new stance early, developing a policy to minimize distractions caused by digital devices. Students are to power down their devices and stow them away as soon as they arrive on campus until they leave each day. If a student is caught using a device without permission, it will be confiscated and handed over to the school office. Only parents or guardians can retrieve a confiscated device. Repeat offenders can expect additional disciplinary actions. Supporters say it's about preserving the learning environment, but critics wonder if the policy is too unforgiving, especially when it comes to emergencies or parent communication. Fort Sam Houston ISD. Currently, this district is working to develop its own approach in line with the new law and hasn't finalized its policy yet. Lackland ISD, policy drafts are pending, and the district is awaiting input from its policy service provider before moving forward. Northeast ISD. This district plans to discuss the new rules at its August 11th board meeting. Northside ISD. Their policy is set for a vote by the school board on August 12th. San Antonio ISD. Board action is scheduled for August 18th to adopt all required policies, including the cell phone ban. So everything is ready for the September 1st deadline. South San ISD. South San is finalizing its new policy and will publish details after the board gives its approval. And this is the part most people overlook. While many celebrate the return to distraction-free classrooms, others question if such strict controls prevent students from learning responsible tech use and self-discipline. Are we really preparing students for a tech-driven world by cutting them off during school hours? Or are we putting up unnecessary barriers to modern education? What do you think? Is Texas taking a necessary step to refocus on learning? Or does this policy go too far in restricting students and limiting valuable learning tools? Share your perspective in the comments. There's plenty of room for debate on both sides. Texas bans phones in school. Students react? Too much? HB 1481 explained. Imagine this. No more phones in school. That's the reality for students in the Brazos Valley as a new state law takes effect. Governor Greg Abbott signed House Bill 1481 into law, which prohibits students from bringing personal communication devices, including cell phones, to school. This significant change will begin at the start of the 2025-2026 school year. But here's where it gets controversial. The law aims to ensure that students are fully focused on their lessons during class time, but opinions on its effectiveness and fairness are divided. Governor Abbott emphasized the importance of undivided attention during learning, stating, "We have to make sure that during the few minutes we have in a class where children have the opportunity to learn a particular subject in that class, that their full attention is devoted to that subject." KPTX reached out to several students in the College Station Independent School District, ISD, to gauge their reactions to the new law. Incoming high school senior Peyton Kosh expressed her disappointment, saying, "I've had my phone for the last 3 years of high school, and now that I'm in my last year, it's going to be a really big change not having my phone." On the other hand, her younger brother Adam, a middle schooler, seemed more accepting. "At my age, we're not allowed to use cell phones at school anyways, so it's not going to be a huge change for me. It's going to be the same thing. So I'm not too against it," he shared. But another student, Trip Fulton, felt the new law was too restrictive. "Phones at free time areas, like not in class or when you're being taught, I feel like that would be okay. But just not having them at lunch or anything, I think that's a bit too much," Trip commented. Jackson Salinas, who was with his mom, raised a valid point about safety concerns. What if you have to call your mom for an emergency or something? You can't really have it out in class or anything, he pointed out. However, Adam had a different perspective on safety. If there's a tornado and a kid's really scared and they call their parents to come pick them up, that puts the parent in danger of getting injured by the tornado too, driving there. Because, as a parent, you can only worry about your kid, he added. Both Bryan and College Station ISDs have announced on social media that they will fully comply with the state law as they work out the details in their policy updates. And this is the part most